Hey guys, how's it going? I am back with another video. This is going to be my week 4 predictions. Hopefully you guys, kind of know the process by now. I'm just going to go through all the games, break down who I think is going to win the game, why, just, you know, kind of just freely talk about my thought process. So just dive in. So I did get the Thursday game right. So I've been absolutely horrible with my picks so far this year. I'm only 26 and 23. I went 13 and 3 week 1, so that's usually around where I finish is around 13-3, 12 and 4, 11 and 5, around that range. And in the past 2 weeks I've gone 6 and 10. So just so many upsets, so many just weird games. So the past 2 weeks have kind of screwed me over, but hopefully this week, week 4 is usually around when the big when the upsets don't happen as frequently, I guess is the good way to put it. Of course, it's going to be upsets, but not as frequently as the past 2 weeks. So hopefully, this week is start of the upsets not happening. So yes, I did get the Thursday game right as I mentioned. Picked Cowboys. It was a little closer than I thought. Finally won a parlay. Thank God. Can probably waste all my money and not get a single parlay to hit this weekend. But I do have some parlay money thanks to this game. So thank you, Cowboys. Got that game right. So the first game on here, we have Falcons and Saints, or Saints at Falcons, rather. This is definitely a tough one. I think this is kind of a coin flip game. I'm going to go with the Falcons. It's pretty close to 50-50. I'm in the minority in my pool. I think there's like 600 something people. 43% of them picked the Falcons. If this was in New Orleans, I'd probably pick the Saints, but it being Atlanta, I'm going to lean Falcons. Falcons, I just think, are kind of in better shape right now. The Saints are banged up. They got they came back down to earth last week against the Eagles. I don't think I mean, their defense played well, but I don't think their offense is going to play as bad as it did last week. But Falcons are playing good football. They didn't really play that great week 1. Their has been playing good the whole year. I think they have another good defensive game in this one. Their offense has been getting it going. They had a rough week 1 performance, but week 2 and 3 they played pretty good. Yeah, the Saints are just banged up. Falcons, I think, can run. The Falcons are banged up too, especially they lost 2 starting linemen, including their starting center against the Chiefs. So that could be a problem. But I think the Falcons' offense is a pretty efficient day in this game. I think they'll score probably around somewhere in the lower to mid 20s. I think the Saints score probably 17-20 if I had to guess. I did see Olave. They added him to the injury report. I think a hamstring. I don't really know how severe it is, but I assume they were just being cautious with him, and he will end up playing if I had to guess. But I mean, I could definitely see the Saints winning this game. I Their defense is good as I mentioned. Their offense is going to be pissed off how poor they played last week. Um, Even though they did play pretty bad, they got it going towards the end of the game there. So maybe they can ride that into this week. But Falcons got a really solid defense. I think they're going to be able to make the Saints offense look not as bad as last week, but not like significantly better. Saints defense, I think, will keep in this game, but I would not at all be surprised if the Saints win. I'm not super confident with this Falcons pick. I feel a little confident, but I don't know, kind of iffy. Kirk Cousins, hopefully he has a good game. I could see Dennis Allen causing problems for them. If they shut down the run and make the Falcons kind of one-dimensional in the pass game, that could be the key to the Saints winning. But I just think the Falcons defense is a good game, and the Falcons offense is enough in this one. But not at all be surprised if the Saints win. So we got Rams and Bears. I'm going with the Rams in this game. A majority of people in my pool are too, 73%. Originally, when I saw these two teams faced, I was yeah, I was kind of leaning towards the Bears. Trying to remember, I was leaning towards the Bears, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pick them, especially in Chicago. And then I'm like, you know what? Actually, I'm like, what am I thinking? I'm like, I'm going the Rams. I mean, the Rams, they're coming off winning against the night again. The Rams are still beat to hell, beyond beat to hell, but they're coming off a win against the Niners. which they should not have won that game, but they are coming off the win against the Niners. Nice comeback win they had there. And oh, I just got a notification AJ Brown not ready, so I was just going to make that a talking point about this game. But getting back to this game here, yeah, Rams. I mean, the comeback win, still beat to hell, but I think they're. I mean, the Bears' offense is just horrible. They looked like an NFL caliber offense last week. I mean, they didn't play great. I wouldn't even say they played good, but it definitely was their best offensive performance of the season. And it's only 3 games in, talking about last week, but yeah, I mean, Caleb Williams, I think he had 50 something pass attempts. He had 350, 60 something yards, I want to say. But I mean, the Bears defense is really good. They're going to keep themselves in the game here. I'm all over the boys here. I don't know what the hell's wrong with my head right now. But I think the Bears defense is going to keep them in the game. Rams offense, I think, is going to be good enough. I think the Bears defense is better than the Rams offense right now, mainly in part due to all the injuries the Rams have, but especially offensively. I I know. I just kind of see this game. The Rams defense has a good performance in this one, but the Bears defense keeps them in the game. I think this is a low scoring game. I see like a 2017-ish game, something around that range. But yeah, I feel fairly, I don't want to say Philly confident is going to bite their boy get blown out if I say it, but I do feel fairly good about my pick in this one with the Rams. I just think their offense has a good enough. It's kind of like this game, the Falcons Saints. I think their offense. Well, I think this Falcons defense plays well enough for the Falcons to win this game. I think the Rams, both their offense and defense combined, kind of play well enough to win this game. But I definitely think this is a close game. I don't think either team blows either team out. I could definitely see the Bears winning. I was leaning towards them originally, but I switched to the Rams. I think the Bears. I want to say they're favored. The last time I saw, I think they were favored by 2.5. That's a little, it's a little surprise to me. I figured they might be favored by maybe a point, but maybe a point and a half. But 2.5 was a little big to me. But I feel fairly confident with the Rams in this one. So it's saying that they'll probably get blown out, but I do feel pretty good about this game. Oh boy, here's a game I'm not too confident with. Vikings and Packers. So Jordan Love is, I just got a notification that he's expected to play. It looked like he was trending in that direction anyway, so I was going to pick the Packers, but now that it seems like almost for sure Jordan Love's going to play, I feel a little better about my Packers pick. I do not mean to keep disrespecting the Vikings. I didn't think they were going to be as bad going into the year as a lot of people thought, but I didn't think they'd be this good either. Brian Flores. Oh, Justin Herbert's supposed to. Well, I'm just getting all my notifications about the games right when I'm recording this. What timing? Um, but I just lost my train of thought. What the hell was I just saying? Um, yes, Vikings are better than pretty much everyone expected. I better than I expected. Brian Flores, his defense has been balling out this year. Gave Purdy issues. Oh, I mean, obviously the Giants issues week 1. They gave Purdy issues to the Niners. They gave Stroud and the Texans issues last week. That defense is just balling out. Sam Darnold's balling out. He did get hurt, but I think he's like, I don't know if he's 100%, but I think he's definitely good enough to go. I don't think his injury is going to affect his points too much. But I am going with the Packers simply because Jordan Love's back, which as much as Malik Willis has been balling out, more so, well, both weeks he started, but more so last week. Jordan Love is obviously better than him. And even if Malik Willis played, which actually they said Malik Willis, they're expected to throw him in some packages, even with the Love playing. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But even if Malik Willis got the start in this game, if Malik Willis started, I probably would pick the Vikings. And I don't mean to keep disrespecting Malik Willis, but I probably would pick the Vikings. But because Jordan Love's starting, I'm going to go with the Packers. The Vikings, I think, are due for, they're 3-0. I definitely think they're due for a loss. On the road in Green Bay, that's obviously if the Vikings were at home, I probably would pick the Vikings. But I don't know, actually, I might pick the Vikings, but I'm all over the place. A lot of these picks I'm kind of iffy on, including this game. But Vikings, I mean, the Packers did kind of figure out the Brian Flores defense last year. They played them week 17 in Minnesota, prime time. Vikings had a chance at playoffs. I think if they had won that game in week 18, they would have been in. But the Packers just slaughtered them. They just picked that defense apart. Yes, it was obviously a completely different scenario. That was last year. And the Vikings defense kind of banged up. It was later in the year. But Matt LaFleur, really good game planner. We've seen that pretty much his whole coaching career, more so his head coaching career, the Packers, I'm talking about at least. I think he has a good game plan in this one, especially Malik Willis. We saw how good of a game planner LaFleur was last week, utilizing Willis's strengths, minimizing his weaknesses, putting together two really good offensive games, more so last week than the Colts game, but still, nonetheless. I just think he has a really good game plan against this Brian Flores defense, and this is kind of the game where I think the Vikings defense may be coming back down to earth. I don't think it's going to be like a significant enough drop off like it was to the Saints last week with their offense compared to the first 2 weeks, but I think the Vikings defense probably gives up around, I'm going to say somewhere in the mid 20s, maybe up to 27-ish points. Packers defense has been very, very sneaky good this year. Week one was a really weird game for both them and the Eagles. There's guys slipping on the field. The field was horrible, awful field conditions, blown coverages, just kind of a weird game. But when they weren't blowing fundamental things, their defense looked pretty good week one for the most part. And then the past 2 weeks, their defense has been really good. I think they have a good game plan for Sam Darnold. I don't think Sam Darnold is going to be able to keep up his level of play that he's had the first 3 weeks. I don't mean to be a hater, but I don't think he's gonna be able to sustain the level of play he's had for the first 3 weeks through the whole season. I think he has a little bit of a drop off this game. I think this might end up being, my gut's telling me, kind of a stagnant, just not great game for the Vikings. Packers just have a pretty solid team win. That's what I'm kind of feeling. I think the Packers win this. I want to say 27. I'm going to go bold and say 17. They're going to win by, I think, around that score. I'm going to say they win by around 10. And I feel fairly confident with that, but upset, upset, upset has been the theme of the season. And who knows? Not that this would be a major upset. Most people are picking the Vikings. Let me see the line on this game, actually. I don't think it'll be updated yet because they just announced Love is supposed to play like 20 minutes ago. So let me see the line on this game. Packers favored by 2. I would probably say yeah, that's probably around the range I would put it at. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Packers in this one. Feel pretty good with that one. This, I think, could definitely be a trap game. I'm going with the Steelers in this game, but I definitely could see the Colts winning this one, especially at home. Colts, again, this is last year. I don't want to be. Oh, great. Now Rachaad White, my running back 2 in 2 of my leagues, is questionable. Wonderful. But getting back to this game. Now I just lost my train of thought. Oh, yes. Last year, when these two teams played, the Colts killed them in the run game. Their defense played good. Steelers kind of struggled offensively. That was after they fired Canada. They were kind of in limbo with play calling. But that was last year. Don't want to base too much off it. But the Colts, I think it was Trey Sermon just absolutely killed them last year in the run game. So I definitely could see the Colts kind of. I don't think they're going to have good of a performance as they had last year against the Steelers, but I definitely think I could see them having a good day on the ground. I think the Steelers defense is going to make Richardson, force him into a couple bad decisions. Richardson has made a couple really baffling decisions this year. I think the Steelers defense kind of limits the Colts passing game, but I think the Colts ground game could get going in this one. I think the Steelers' run game is going to be a big factor. I think they could have a good day. Obviously, the Colts have been struggling to stop the run, and that's Arthur Smith's number one thing on his agenda is to run the football. So I think that could be a big factor in this game. I do think the Colts defense could have a good game where they hold the Steelers around 17-ish, 20-ish points, keep them in the game. I think a lot of running clock in this game. I've said that for a lot of these two teams' games this year. And I think a lot of running clock this game. But Steelers are just playing better football. I'm just gonna. I feel pretty good with them. But there is games. Mike Tomlin has a tendency in his coaching career, like this one. You're playing a team that's kind of struggling, not playing great football, expected to win, and then you kind of just put up a shitter. So I could definitely see that. Not that the Colts are a bad team. They haven't played great, but they are a good team. So I could see the Colts winning this game. Wouldn't be too surprised, but I am fairly confident with the Steelers in this one. This game, I am definitely confident with the Jets. I'll be very, very surprised. I said this last week and it bit me on the ass, but I'm just going to say it again and knock on wood. My disc is wood here, so I'm actually going to knock on wood for myself. That I would be absolutely shocked if the Broncos, or surprised, shocked, whatever, if the Broncos win this game. Last week, I said the only logical explanation as to why they could win was because Todd Bowles has a tendency in his career as a head coach to just his team just comes out flat, not ready to play against teams that they're better than and should win. And I think that's exactly what happened. And their injuries caught up to them too. That was a big factor. And Sean Payton always just has offensive success against Bowles, so I think that played a factor. But with this game, I just think the Jets, they had that Thursday game against us, week 2, or week 3, I mean. Oh, God, I still agonize over how god awful we played. But they have the mini bye playing Thursday night. Broncos played Sunday, so they just get a typical week west. Typical week's rest. Boy, I'm struggling through this one. I don't know what the hell's going on. But yeah, I feel good with the Jets. I don't think the rest factor is going to play too much of a factor, but I mean, Jets offense, Broncos defense has been playing really well this year. I think the Jets offense is I think they have a similar offensive game that in this one that they had against us Thursday and kind of the back half of week 2 against the Titans, where they just have a good and efficient game, not like a lot of big explosive chunk plays, but kind of just short passing, get the play action game going, run game going. They just kind of methodically move up the field. I think they'll put up around 27 points in this game. I think the Jets defense really makes the Broncos offense look like the first 2 weeks of the Broncos offense, and just a lot of check downs, a lot of the run game not getting anything going, a lot of punting. I think the Jets defense forces a long game for the Broncos offense, basically what I'm saying. I feel really confident with the Jets in this game. Would be shocked if the Broncos won. Again, I already did it, but I'm going to knock on wood here. Oh boy, Broncos really screwed me over last week, though. Eliminated me from my survivor pool. Oh, God, just an awful betting week. Golf survivor pool week, golf fantasy week. I need to stop. Guys. Okay, moving on. This game, I am going with the Bucs, but I'm going to be monitoring the injuries. Vita Vea is questionable. Winfield, I think they announced is out, so that sucks. I was going to go with the Bucs with the assumption Smith and A.J. Brown were out. Smith, I think yesterday they announced he was out. And then I think, let me see what they just said about A.J. Brown. Yeah, A.J. Brown downgraded from questionable. Okay. So yeah, I am going to go with the Bucs in this game. I just think if A.J. Brown, even if Brown or Smith, just one of them was playing, I would probably take the Eagles. But with both of them out, I'm going with the Bucs. Todd Bowles, even though I'm not a big fan of him as a head coach, defensively, he obviously is a top-tier defensive coach, really good defensive coach, good game plan. And the Eagles' offense, without Smith and Brown, it's just going to be a heavy dose of Saquon getting the run game going. And even though the Bucks are not the same run stopping team they were with their Super Bowl year and the year after that, and even in 2019 with well actually they weren't great in 2021, but 2019 through 2021, more so 19 and 20, they were I think the number one rush defense in the league. They're not what they used to be, but Vita Vea I saw was I think he had no limitations. So Vita Vea plays, that'll give me more confidence. And they're able to stop the Eagles' run game. I think they win this game. Because if you do that, obviously you'll have to pass, and they don't have Smith and Brown out there. And Goddard's really the only, the only capable receiver. Well, I guess they have Jahan Dotson, but he's been very quiet, which obviously he'll have to step up with those guys out. But it's a very limited sample size last week without Smith and Brown out there, both of them out there at the same time. And the Eagles' offense has struggled in the whole game, even when Smith was out there. But they had pretty much nothing in the passing game when Smith went out. And the only pass offense they got pretty much was off that blown coverage to Goddard on 3rd and 16 there. So I think the key, if the Bucks stop the run, I feel very, very confident they'll win this game. I think the Eagles are going to have a rough day passing the ball, even if they end up winning. I think if they do end up winning, Hurts is going to have an ugly stat line, probably barely over 100 yards, but he'll get the run game going. Yeah, Hurts I do think could hurt the Bucks at scrambling. I think Hurts will have a pretty good day running the ball. I'm going to predict Saquon doesn't have a great day. I think he'll do okay, but not as efficient he's been the first 3 games. If Vita Vea is out, though, I think that obviously that's going to be a problem for the Bucks stopping the run. But even without Vita Vea, I think it's just too much for the Eagles to overcome with Brown and Smith both being out. So I'm going to go with the Bucks in this game. The Eagles defense has not really week 1, but they did kind of same thing with the Packers I was talking about when I was breaking down Vikings Packers. The Eagles defense week 1, a lot of fundamental issues, slipping issues. When they did not kill themselves fundamentally, they kind of clamped down the red zone. They did play fairly well week 1 when they didn't kill themselves, things like blown coverages. But week 2, they played good, except that last drive with the Kirk Cousins. That was awful. Obviously, last week they played exceptionally well. So I don't think the Eagles defense plays as good as it did last week. I think it has a similar performance to week 2 in that it kind of limits the Bucks offense. The Bucks offense, I think, is good enough to get around 20. Bucks offense did not look. They scored 7, and then they got shut out in 3 quarters. So that was bad. They didn't play good last week at all. They have nothing going in the run game. I think the Bucks have a rough game running the ball. I don't think they get much going in the run game. I think the Eagles defense stops the Bucks run game. I really don't think the Bucks offense is a great day. I think the Eagles defense I think the Eagles defense kind of has a better day than the Bucks offense. But I just think the main reason I'm going the Bucks in this game is because I think it's just too much for the Eagles to overcome with their top 2 receivers out. So I am leaning Bucks, but not too confident with this pick. I'm going to say Bucks win 20, maybe 23. I'm going to say 22. I'll say Eagles score around 17-ish. I don't know. Though. I have a lot of different scenarios in this game, but not too confident with the Bucks, and I'm going to go with them in this one. Bengals, Panthers, definitely going with the Bengals in this game, but not as confident as I was last week. If, last week before week 3, if I saw Bengals, Panthers, I'm like, yeah, obviously Bengals, 0 hesitation, not even going to think about this game at all. Now, obviously, this past week made me not too much, and it made me think about it a little bit. Obviously, the Panthers were great against the Raiders. Their offense, they just went up and down the field. Andy Dalton looked like an MVP candidate. And obviously, their defense played pretty good against the Raiders. Bengals defense played absolutely horrible. That was just god-awful, embarrassing against the Commanders. Jane Daniels had 2 incompletions. I mean, really? That's a problem if you can only force 2 incompletions in 23 pass attempts. I think they might have just been too focused on stopping Jane Daniels scrambling that they didn't focus on the pass, but I don't know what the hell happened. Bengals offense, though, played really good. They had a really good week 2 game against the Chiefs, too. They didn't light it up on the scoreboard, but they moved the ball pretty well throughout that game. Last week, they moved the ball up and down the field. They got held to 2 field goal attempts. McPherson missed the first one. They made the second one. And then after that, they were scoring pretty much at will, going up and down the field scoring. So the Bengals offense, I think the Bengals offense is a pretty good game. I think it's a similar points to last week. I think they'll put up around, I feel confident saying they're going to put up around 27, 30-ish. And yeah, I think their defense is going to be pissed off. I think their defense plays better, and the Panthers kind of look like the team more so the first 2 weeks of the year. Not that they're going to play as bad, but I don't think they'll be putting up. I think they put up 30. I want to say 36 against the Raiders. I don't think they'll be putting up 36 against the Bengals defense, even though the Bengals defense just played so poorly last week. I think that Panthers offense kind of comes back down to earth in this game from last week. Not that, they've been exceptional the whole year. Obviously, they were abysmal with Bryce Young the first 2 weeks, but I don't know if coming back down to earth is the right phrasing after one good game. But you guys, I think you know what I mean. I just don't think their offense plays as good as it did last week. I think Bengals win this by, I feel pretty confident saying they win it by more than one score. I'll say 31. I think Panthers offense kind of struggles in this one. I'll say Panthers score 17. Maybe a garbage time touchdown to make it look more respectable, but I feel really confident with the Bengals in this game. Could be an $80 revenge game, though. If they play as good as they did last week, they definitely could win this one, but I feel really good with the Bengals in this game. My Super Bowl pick, 0-3. We gotta get going here. Should be 2-1, though, at minimum. Jags, Texans. Oh, boy. Jaguars. Jesus Christ. What the hell has happened to this team? I didn't think the Jags were going to be this bad. I didn't think they were going to be great, but I thought they were going to be more similar to the team the first half of the year last year when they were, I think, 8-3. I think 8-3 the Jags were last year. And then they lost that Bengals game. Lawrence got hurt, and they were just a disaster from there on out, except that they shut out the Panthers that one game, week 17, I think. But besides that, they were just a disaster the back half of last year. But they're 0-3. They're just playing. They played good against the Dolphins for 2.5 quarters. Then once that ETN phone happened, it's like they just forgotten how to play football these past couple of games since then. Their defense played fairly well week 1, played pretty good week 2. Obviously, they played abysmal last week. The Bills are just going up and down, scoring at will, moving the ball however they wanted. Jags offense is just a mess. Lawrence had he's had a lot of bad passes, had a bad pick last week to Damar Hamlin of all people. Lawrence is probably going to be getting so many memes for that one. Yeah, they're just playing bad. Doug Peterson's on the hot seat. The Texans are coming off. They just got their asses kicked by the Vikings. They're going to be pissed off. So did the Jaguars, but the Texans have much higher expectations than the Jaguars, especially right now. But both teams are going to be pissed off. The Texans probably more so just because the expectations they have are higher than the Jags. I think their offense, the Texans, gets back on track after a bad game last week. I think they score somewhere in I'm going to say 27. I feel like that's a pretty good number for them to score. And I think their defense gets back on track. The Jags offense is a rough game in this one. I think Texans win this one. I'll say 27. I'll say 27-17. I'll go probably something around that range is my guess. Although, even though logically it doesn't make sense, a very small part of my gut is kind of wants to pick the Jags in this game, even though it makes no logical sense. I just could see the Jags kind of getting it back on track and playing like the team they were the first half of last year, and this being kind of a trap game, a shock game, but I just can't predict that. I can't predict that. I'm gonna have to go with the Texans in this game. I feel pretty good about that one. 95% of people are on the Texans too. So Jags, I just don't know what the hell has happened to them. Really disappointing to see. Commanders Cardinals. This could be an interesting game. Just activated my Siri on my Apple Watch. Oopsies. But Commanders Cardinals is gonna be an interesting game. I feel pretty good with the Cardinals in this one, though. I don't think the Commanders are as good as their record suggests, 2-1. Their defense has played horrible the entire year. Their offense has been better than their defense. That's a kind of been a little surprising. I thought their offense was going to be struggling to start the year. I did say though, I think Cliff Kingsbury's offenses do tend to give teams trouble the first half of the end, and they kind of come back down to earth the second half of the year as teams, just prepare for them better, have more film on them. But the Cardinals, I think, I mean, that's why I don't like the saying you are what your record says. Sometimes that's true, yes, but are you really going to tell me the Commanders are a better team than the Cardinals? Like you cannot. I mean, you can tell me it, but I'm not going to believe it. I think the Cardinals better than the Commanders. They're at home. They played the Bills tough week one at a lead, had a chance to win the game at the end. They didn't. They blew the Rams out week two. They played the Lions tough last week. The Commanders, they got blown out week one. They should have lost to the Giants if Graham Gano was healthy. And then their offense, it took a historic performance from Jaden Daniels, and they narrowly beat the Bengals last week. So I think Kyler Murray kills the Commanders in this game, scrambling. I think James Conner is a good game. I think the Cardinals offense didn't play very good last week. I think they have a bounce back game. They have a pretty efficient game in this one. I just think them running the ball with Murray and Conner is going to kill the Commanders. I think the Commanders offense I think they have a good game, but not, I don't think they have nearly good of a game as they did last week. I think the Commanders offense puts up around 20. I'm going to say the Cardinals put up around, I could honestly see the Cardinals scoring 30 plus, but I'll just say the Cardinals win this one. I'm going to say 27-20ish, around that range. Yeah, I don't mean to always like pick one score games, like really close games. Like yes, there's going to be some blowouts, but I know I just go with what my gut's telling me, my scores. I don't mean for them to all be around 27, 17, around that whatever, but yeah, I feel pretty good with the Cardinals in this game though. Oh God. Oh boy, this is going to be a rough one for my team, I fear. So I am definitely going with the 49ers. I really don't think too much explaining needs to be done with this game, unfortunately. I mean, obviously the 49ers are better, just much higher expectations. They are the one good thing we have going for us going into this game is the 49ers are banged up and our offensive line, City So, looks like he's going to be back. So we have a very, very much needed boost to our offensive line, hopefully. And the 49, they've lost two in a row. So, maybe we're getting them at the right time, but we've also lost two in a row. But obviously, the Niners just a better team. They're at home. They're the far better team. I mean, they do pretty much everything better than us. We have the same record. And again, that's misleading. The Niners are better than us, but we have the same record. They're better than us, though. Yeah, I think we're gonna get blown out, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're gonna get blown out in this game. I think the Niners, Jordan Mason gets going. I think they gash us with the passing game, even though they are missing guys. I think Kittle could have a good game. I don't think Jennings is as good of a game as he did last week, obviously, but I think Jennings could have a pretty good game. I think the Niners are probably going to score. I'm going to say, I honestly think our defense will play well enough to maybe limit them to below 30. Whatever. I'll just go with my common number here, 27 for the Niners. Our offense, I think, is going to get killed in this game. I think this is Brissett's last game as a starter. I think we have a really rough offensive game. I honestly think we're only going to put up around 10 to 13 points. If we put up more than that, I'll honestly be a little surprised, and I think it'll be because we get a pick or something, or a punt return, or something that gives us good field position to start the offensive drive. But I just the 49ers pass rush, I think, is going to kill Brissett. He's going to get hit a bunch in this game. I think they're going to get to Stevenson and Gibson in the backfield quickly. Their defensive line is just going to kill our offensive line. This is a horrible matchup for us. The Niners are better pretty much everywhere. Obviously, coaching, it's much more well established on their end. A lot of new coaches. Obviously, Mayo's new coordinators everywhere. Robert Covington's our new DC. Obviously, we had AVP, new OC. It's just not a good matchup for us. In the I mentioned they lost two in a row. They're going to be pissed off, especially last week. They outplayed the Rams and they completely blew the game. So they're going to be really pissed off they lost that game, and they're going to take it out on us, which we don't need because we're probably going to get blown out by them regardless if they held on to that game or not. But yeah, me being the diehard Pats fan I always somehow try to convince myself and have faith in my team that we're going to somehow win the game. And even though logically it doesn't make too much sense, a small part of my gut still believes in my team. I still think my team, I love them so much. I think we can win every game somehow, even though that's not going to happen, obviously. We're going to lose much more than we win this season, probably. But I don't know, man. I love my team. I'm always going to believe in them. But yeah, I, I just do not have a good feeling about this game. I hope I'm wrong, though. I really hope I'm wrong and we miraculously can somehow win. So if we win this game somehow, obviously that'll be an upset. That'll be a big morale boost. We'll be 2-2. And then we play the Dolphins at home next week, so that should be a win for us too. So this is, oh God, big difference between 1-3 and 2-2. So yeah, God, not a good feeling, but hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong. This game, I'm surprised a majority of people are picking the Raiders in this game. I was leaning Browns even before the Raiders announced their injuries. They had a bunch. I think they have. Well, I know Adams is out. I want to say Crosby's out too. They announced. Let me look it up. Uh, let's see here. Davante Adams, Monfour rolled out. Max Crosby doubtful. Okay, who else is? I feel like they have another key guy they ruled out. I forget. They had another key guy they ruled out. I forget who, but yeah. I mean, even before the injuries, it was kind of a toss-up game for me. Still sort of is, but now less so with the Raiders injuries. But I'm gonna go with the Browns in this game. I'm done betting on the Browns. So they have forget. I bet on the Jags to beat them week 2. The Browns won. Then I bet on the Browns beat the Giants last week, and they lost. So I'm done betting on the Browns so they can pull off some consistent wins where they look good. I mean, they just not look good this whole season. Their defense has been playing pretty good this season. The first half of last week, they played horrible. They kind of clamped down in the second half. Their offense is just kind of a mess. Their offensive line's been banged up. They got guys back last week, and then they got hurt. So, yeah, Conklin's out this game for them. They're just, Sean Watson's not, he has not looked good. He did kind of pick it up once they got that touchdown to cut it to, in the 2-point conversion, cut it to 6-point game. He played well from that point out. Maybe that carries on to this game. But I just think the Raiders offense has not been good. They had the second half comeback against the Ravens, but besides that, they've not looked good the whole year. And again, it's only week 4, so when I say the whole year, it's not, a big sample size, but 3 games, that's a pretty notable size, I would say. Browns defense, I think, gives them kind of I was going to say lawn or rough game. I don't know if that's the right word. I think the Browns defense plays well enough to hold them to probably around, I'm going to go with another common number, at least in this video, 17. I think the Browns offense, and part of me says the Browns offense is a kind of get right, click it into gear game. Raiders defense played horrible last week. Maybe they didn't really know what to prepare for with the Andy Dalton led Dave Canales offense, but that's why they played so awful. I don't know. I could see the Raiders defense bouncing back this one. I don't think they played as bad as they did last week, but I just think the Browns. I feel like 24. I feel like some reason that's a good number of points they're going to put up in this one. I'm going to say the Browns win this one 24-17. I could even see the Raiders maybe scoring less than 17, maybe 14, but I don't know. I definitely think this is a close game though. I this could see the Raiders winning this one. Um, did this just change, or am I like going insane? I could have sworn that a majority of people had the Raiders, and now it's flipped, or maybe I'm losing my mind. I don't know. I don't know. This is a very long weekend for me. I'm like losing my mind out here. But yeah, I feel okay with the Browns in this one. Not too confident. I can't really be with how just weird they played this year. It's gonna be interesting to see Antonio Pierce. He said people made business decisions last week, and they're gonna make business decisions too. Which, first of all, that was a really cool and clever line. But I I think he was talking about Jack Jones. I saw someone pointed out a couple plays he just did not try, gave very little effort. It looked like. So he had character problems on the Patriots. That's why Bill let him go. So he might have been a culprit. And Antonio Pierce said this game is going to kind of test their character. So, okay, is this changing, or am I like losing my mind out here? Now 54, I swear to God, I'm losing my mind, people. I'm losing my mind. I'm gonna have to rewatch this back when I upload this video because I could have sworn it just I don't know. I'm losing my mind, people. But I'm gonna go with the Browns in this game. Not too confident, but I feel much better picking them than the Raiders in this game. God, this game. So of course, Chiefs Chargers. Last week, I was like, I think the Chargers, if they went beat the Steelers, they'll be 3-0. Could be 3-0 versus 3-0. Whoever wins is first in the division. Chargers have played the Chiefs really well past couple of seasons. Even with the Brandon Staley-led Chargers, they played them close against the Chiefs. And obviously, big division game. Whoever wins is first in the division. Chargers defense has been balling out. Chiefs have not looked good. They're kind of honorable, even though they're 3-0. Chargers could steal this one. I could see a just complete game. They play well and they win the game. And right on cue, what happens? The Chiefs get bailed out again because the Chargers have two tackles banged up. Herbert, I just saw he's supposed to play, but he's banged up. And Derwin James happens to get suspended the week they happen to be playing the Chiefs. I wonder if that's a coincidence at all. Just kind of a little odd. But, I mean, I'm going to have to go with the Chiefs in this game. The Chargers defense, Bosa's out. That's another one, I think. As soon as Bosa went out against the Steelers, their defense just struggled last week. But Chiefs offense, I think the Chiefs offense I think this is the game Kelce kind of pops up. Looks like Travis Kelce. A lot of talk on how quiet he's been, getting more attention this week than he did the first 2 weeks. I think this is the Kelce kind of, I'm not washed game. He has a pretty good game in this one. What the hell? I just got a weird snap notification. But yeah, Travis Kelce, I think it's a good game in this one. I think the Chiefs offense is a good game in this one. Chargers even just banged up. Chiefs defense, I think, has a good game too. The Chiefs defense has been pretty good this year, stopping the run, and that's pretty much the whole Chargers offense is running because they are very, very thin at receiver, especially with the banged up Herbert. His mobility is probably going to be limited with his ankle. So I think the Chiefs have a good defense overall, pass and run defense. So not a great time for the Chargers to be playing the Chiefs. Even though if they were healthy, it would be, but with all their injuries, it's not. They're not a good time for them. But I mean, I could see the Chargers winning. John Harbaugh's pretty good, throwing guys in there, making them play pretty good, next man up mentality. So I don't think it's impossible for the well, of course it's not impossible, but I don't think it's like if the Chargers won this game, I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't be like absolutely shocked. Like this is, just one of the biggest upsets I've ever seen. But I mean, I just feel pretty confident with the Chiefs in this game. I'll be rooting against them, but I unfortunately feel pretty confident with them in this game. I am absolutely shocked that a majority of people are not picking the Ravens in this game. Only 41%. I feel pretty good with the Ravens in this game. And it's weird saying that because they're 1-2. They almost blew a gigantic lead to the Cowboys last week. So they almost are 0-3. It's almost 3-0, but it's 0-3. But I think the Ravens kind of got back on track. I don't want to take too much from the fourth quarter where they played like shit and almost blew the game. I think I'm going to assume the Ravens, the first three quarters, that's going to be how they operate in this game more so than the fourth quarter. The Bills have played exceptional this season. Would not at all, of course, be surprised if they win this game. But the Bills, I think, are due for a loss. A. B. They're coming off back-to-back blowout wins. Their offense has been unstoppable, so their offense is due for a kind of come back down to earth game. And then C. The Ravens, obviously, I mentioned it, but they won last week. They got a lot. They were dominating the game until the fourth quarter, but they're gonna be like, we dominated the game, and then we kind of beat ourselves up, just stupid fundamental things we messed up on, almost blew the game while the Cowboys come right back into it. But yeah, pause. Just realized what I said there. Pause. But I guess what I'm trying to say is the Ravens they're gonna feel good about themselves that they won. They had a really good performance for a majority of the game. I think that's gonna carry over. I think Derrick Henry, the Bills' run defense is very questionable. It has not been good, but we haven't really seen much of it because they've had such big leads that teams have to go pass heavy. We saw Devon Achane when the game was within a reasonable margin. He kind of gassed the Bills week two. Week one, they got gashed. And last week, Travis Etienne had a nice couple runs. The game was over pretty much at halftime, so I'm not really going to count that. But Bill's just in a free vent the whole second half, probably. But I mean, I think Henry, he got going last week. The Ravens found something with that offensive line, a lot more running than passing, which they did the opposite the first 2 weeks. They did a lot more passing than running. So I think the Ravens, their defense played pretty well against the Cowboys until the fourth quarter again. The Bills' offense is just due for a lackluster game. I think the Ravens' defense puts together a good game in this one. I think their offense, the run game gets going. I mean, I'm not going to be like they're going to blow the Bills out. I don't think they blow the Bills out, but I think this will definitely be within a winnable margin for the Bills. But I think the Ravens take an early lead in this one, and it's kind of within 7 to 10 points around that range the whole game. But the Ravens end up holding on. But I feel pretty especially in Baltimore prime time. They always play well at home in prime time. That too. If it was in Buffalo, I'd probably be picking the Bills, but at home for the Ravens. Actually, maybe I might go with the Ravens. It's in Buffalo, but it's not. It's at home in Baltimore prime time. Ravens got it going. I think it carries over. Bills due for a loss. I think their run game kind of gets exposed in this one. Their run defense, I mean. Feel pretty confident with the Ravens. Surprised only 41% are on the Ravens. The Bills will probably blow them out that I'm praising the Ravens so much now. Titans, Dolphins, really hard game to predict. Just 0-3 versus 1-2. Probably should be 0-3. They probably should not have beaten the Jags, but 66% of people are going with the Dolphins in this game. Only 34% of the Titans. I mean, I'm going the Titans. I think this is definitely a ugly game, a very low scoring defensive game. I think this is honestly a 14-ish 10 type of game, maybe 17-10, 17-13, around that range. I did pick the Titans, assuming that Skylar Thompson was going to get the start again for the Dolphins, but they just announced Mike McDaniel said Tyler Huntley was going to get the start. That's definitely the right decision for them. I think Huntley is a serviceable quarterback enough to keep the Dolphins afloat in this game. And I think just in general, until Tua comes back for them, hopefully later in the year. So honestly, I might change my pick. If I do, I'll make a note of it in my next video. But yeah, I mean, I just I don't know. This is a hard one to predict. I'd feel better if it was in Tennessee, but in Miami, that makes me a little bit iffy. But the Titans are due for a win. They should have won week 1. They could have won week 2. And last week they got outplayed, but they had their chances in that game. But I mean, their defense played like shit last week. I think their defense, excuse me here. I think the Titans' defense plays similar to how they did the first 2 weeks of the year against the Bears and the Jets. Especially again with Tyler Huntley, he's not a great quarter. He's serviceable, he's not great. I think really no film on Huntley though with the Dolphins offense, so that could be a problem for the Titans defense. And I guess that wasn't a problem with them for Caleb Williams and the Bears, obviously, but completely different scenario, obviously. Huntley's a vet. He's okay. I think he could give them scrambling issues. He could kill them scrambling. Dolphins run game, that'll be the key for them to win this game, I think. If the Dolphins get the run game going, that's, I think, how they win the game. I think the Titans defense very much limits the passing offense of Huntley and the Dolphins. If they're able to stop the run for the Dolphins, I feel very confident that they'll win this game. Titans offense, very up and down. It's looked great, then it's looked bad. Just I don't know what to make of it, but it's been good enough. I definitely trust the Titans offense more than the Dolphins offense in this game. Obviously, if Tua was playing, I'd be not really hesitating too much to pick the Dolphins in general, but I would definitely trust their offense more if Tua was playing, even though I hate him. But yeah, this is just why does there have to be 2 Monday night games, and why does this have to be one of them? This is the same thing last year. They had 2 Monday night games. This is one of them, and Dolphins kind of put like shit in the game, and the Dolphins, they had a 2-score lead still late in the game, and the Titans ended up coming back. That was a really nice game from Will Levis and company there. I don't know. I just not very confident with the Titans, but I'm definitely probably a 60-40 probability, my confidence in the Titans to win this game. I just think their offense is good enough. I just think their offense is able to outscore the Dolphins' offense, though, too. Is basically what this game comes down to. Dolphins' defense has not been very good. They played actually pretty good last week, but yeah, I don't know. Not too confident, but I am definitely going with the Titans in this game. Might change my pick. Probably just stay Titans, but I don't know. I don't know, man. Who knows this game? Why is this on prime time? Next game, we got last game. See, now this is worthy of a prime time slot. We got Seahawks, Lions. Feel good about the Lions in this game. At home, prime time. Their defense has been balling out this year, the Lions. Their offense is something is missing from their offense. It looks like the Lions, they have drives where it looks typical Lions offense that we're used to from 2023. And then they just stall out. Goff throws a bad pick. They get stopped on fourth down. It's just something. They stopped on fourth down. Something just been off of the Lions offense this year. Jared Goff, I think I saw only has a 79 passer rating. That was very surprising to me. And they're still 2-1 because the defense has been playing pretty good. Speaking of defenses playing good, the Seahawks, they're 3-0 in big parts. Their defense has been balling out, Mike McDaniel. But in saying that, let's look at the Seahawks, who they played. week 1 they played Bo Nix and the Broncos. Week 2 they played us and Jacoby Brissett, which pains me to say, but our offense is not good this year, at least so far. And then last week they played the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson in there, and Skylar Thompson ended up getting hurt too. So, just yeah, their defense they played really good, but um, not they haven't really had a big test yet. This will be their biggest test. Again, the Lions offense, just something's been wrong with the Lions offense. So also, I was just trying to think of who came in. It was Tim Boyle against the Seahawks when Skylar Thompson got hurt. I completely blanked on his name for some reason, but um, I just lost my thought process again. Boy, my head is all over the place right now. Yes, Lions offense been struggling, so maybe the Seahawks defense is catching them at the right time. But Seahawks are due for a loss. They're 3-0, but I don't think. I think the Seahawks are a good team. I think they could win around 10 games this year, but I don't think they're an elite team that's going to go to the Super Bowl or anything like that. Maybe they'll win a wild card game, but I don't think the Seahawks are like an elite team. So I feel good with the Lions in this game. They're at home, prime time. They lost the Seahawks at home last year, so they probably have that in the back of their minds. Probably want to avenge that loss. It was on a controversial call too. There should have been a holding call on the Seahawks, if I remember right. Geno Smith had the touchdown to Lockett in overtime to win last year. And yeah, I don't know. Seahawks defense could have a good game in this one, especially again, you mentioned the Lions offense has been struggling, kind of not struggling, but just not typical Lions offense that we're used to from the past year and a half, that back half of 22 and 23. Well, the whole 2020, the back half of 2022, I mean. Yeah, I think the Lions offense, I'm going to say it plays similar to what it did last week against the Cardinals, where they play good and they score around, I'm going to say 23, but it's still not a very super efficient game. They don't look great. I think the Lions defense plays good in this game, though. I don't know why. I just kind of a gut feeling they've been playing good. Seahawks offense has also been playing really good, but I think the Lions defense kind of, I don't know how to phrase it. I just think the Lions defense has a pretty good game in this one. I think they hold the Seahawks to around. I think this is definitely a close game. I'm going to say the Seahawks score around 20-21. Lions score around 20-23. I definitely could see the Lions having a typical Lions offense that we're used to, not maybe torching the Seahawks defense, but putting up 27, maybe 30, something like that. But I do think the Seahawks defense plays pretty well in this game, holds them to the lower 20s, mid 20s. I think the Seahawks offense does get a couple good drives in, but the Lions defense is going to hold them to some field goals. I think that'll be a big difference in the game. Definitely could see the Seahawks winning this game. It wouldn't absolutely shock me, but I would be a little bit surprised. But if it was in Seattle, I'd probably pick the Seahawks, but I don't know. It's in Detroit, so yeah. I'm gonna go with the Lions this one. I put 47 here. I could be 24, 23, 27, 20, something around that range. I feel pretty confident the amount of total points in my tiebreaker is gonna end up around 47. So yeah, I'm so glad they're getting rid of the double Monday night game after this week. Though I hate when they do that. I have to have one game on my TV, one on my iPad. It's such a pain in the ass, especially with one of them being this game. Then last week they had Bills Jags or Jags at Bills, I mean, and obviously it was a blowout, but I didn't want to miss it, even though it was a blowout. So I had that game streaming, and I'm like, I hate when they do 2 Monday night games. So yeah, pretty good week of football. A lot of games that could go either way. Not too many games I'm like super confident with. The only games I'm really super confident with is this one. I think the Jets, they definitely win that, and then the Bengals, I think they'll definitely win that, and maybe the Texans too. But a small part of me, for whatever reason, thinks the Jags can win. Could see it, but yeah. Maybe the Cardinals too, but that's I mean, that's more of a closer game, I think. Oh, and then this game too, unfortunately. But I'm never gonna bet him. I never bet against my team in parlays, even though it's probably the smart thing to do. I never bet against my team. I love them too much to do that. But yeah, uh, got all the games. Anything else? No, yeah. I'm like ashamed at this. I've gotten 100+ wins the past couple of years. I'm pretty sure. Won my pick'em league I do with all my buddies. Not this one, but the one I do with my buddies. Um, yeah, just it's so nice getting the Thursday game right. Starting off 1-0 though. That's always a good start. But yeah, good games this weekend. Hopefully my parlays hit. My fantasy team that is 0-3 that I won the title with. Like an idiot, I put Singletary in. I was back and forth on him and Zach Moss. And I had Moss, then I switched Singletary, and I was like, oh my God, I know what to friggin' do. And I put Singletary in, did nothing. So Zach Moss is probably gonna have a career day since he's on my bench. Yeah, hopefully better fantasy week for me this week with all my teams. Betting week, my picks. I need those picks to need my picks to start getting more wins than losses. It's shameful that I've gone 6-10. I'm like embarrassed the past 2 weeks. But good games this week. Excited for the games. A lot of good ones. Hopefully my team can miraculously beat the Niners. Yeah, I'll end the video here. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Have fun watching football. Good luck betting, fantasy, all that good stuff. And yeah, take it easy, guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.